Welcome back. You're tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest live on 1150 KKNW. We are here to help navigate the mortgage and real estate market with expert advice from knowledgeable and trustworthy industry professionals. And now in studio, we have Jerome Watson with Icon Real Estate Group. Going above and beyond the expectations of his client is Jerome's highest priority. The level of expertise that you will receive working with Jerome is the best in the business. Jerome has a bachelor's degree from the Southern New Hampshire University in finance and economics. He loves spending time with his family and friends and loves volunteering at local community centers, schools, and church. Jerome oversees a weekly leadership group of young professionals. He loves the Seahawks, and he loves camping and walking his English bulldog. And he loves real estate. Welcome, Jerome.
Hi, I love real estate, yes.
I know. We're excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, we are. So have you gone camping anywhere this year?
You know what? I haven't gone camping this year yet.
You haven't?
It's really surprising because every year I usually go camping.
Yeah.
At least twice a summer. And
yeah.
so this summer I haven't been able to. It's just been really busy. And so.
Well, yeah, I know. We do some deals together. You have quite a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's really busy right
now.
Yeah.
Well, so can you tell us a little bit about, everyone knows it's sort of a great time to buy a home, or at least they think. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, is it, and kind of why?
Yeah, I think that's probably a big question that I usually get is it a great time to buy a home, especially being in a seller's market? Some people will say it's a seller's market. To me, I think, yes, it is. To answer the question, yes, it is a great time to buy a home. Now, I think you have to, you and your agent, whoever you're working with, you have to identify and obviously look at the situation different on what house you're going to buy. Mm-hmm. It's a great time to buy. Rates are great. You guys talk about it all the time. So it's a great time to buy. So to answer the question, yes, but I think it's when submitting an offer on a home, some buyers can be really hesitant or scared with that process because there's so many buyers out there and there's multiple offers on every home. But that doesn't take away the fact that it's still a great time to buy a home. Rates are low. There's still inventory out there. People are buying. And I always tell every client I work with, it's always great to invest in real estate.
Yep.
And so
it is. That's something that people forget. And there's a lot of people that still think, oh, are we in another bubble, right? Mm-hmm. But if you look back over the history of real estate, it is always been a good investment.
Yeah. It's
right?
always, I think I read one statistic that said real estate investments have made more millionaires in this country than any other profession. Mm-hmm. And so investing into real estate, it's a great decision. It's a great decision. And I think now in today's market, a lot of buyers are hesitant of getting into buying a home just because they keep hearing, oh, it's a seller's market. It's a seller's market. And, I don't like to look at it that way. I think, we hear seller's market and we say, oh, the prices are skyrocketing. It must be really expensive to buy a home right now. Mm-hmm. I look at it from the point of, no, I think it's just inventory is low. There's not a lot of homes on the market. That doesn't mean the prices are going to be outrageous. When it's a buyer's market, that means there's a lot of homes on the market. Mm-hmm. And so there's more for you to choose from. There's less homes on the market, but people are still buying homes. And it's a great time to buy. Rates are low. They're not going to go lower. They're going to go up. And so it's a great time.
Yeah. So I want to buy a home now.
Yeah.
You do?
No.
Talk to the Riley Johnson team.
I know where I can get a loan and I can get an agent. Yeah. So I'm in a good spot.
You are.
No, but hypothetically, I want to. What do I need to do first?
Yeah, great question. I think that's probably one of the main questions I usually get. And the very first step, I tell every client the same thing, is the very first step you want to do is contact the Riley Johnson team.
Jerome, I love you.
Yeah, you want to talk to your lender. You want to contact somebody like the Riley Johnson team to find out where you stand in the process. Every person I meet with, they say, oh, I've been looking at homes. Show me a few homes. Show me 4 to 5 homes, and then I'll talk to a lender. Or, let's look at some homes online, and then I'll talk to a lender. The very first step in the process is talk to the Riley Johnson team. Yeah. Talk to your lender, find out where you stand in the process, and then that way you know where you're going. If you're that way, you talk to the Riley Johnson team and they find out you're approved, then awesome, you're ready to buy a home. If it comes to a place where you find out, oh, I'm not ready to buy a home yet, then you know where you stand and they'll give you steps on what you need to do in order to be a homeowner.
Right.
And so the very first step, I tell every client, you got to find out where you stand in the process. And it's funny because it's usually the toughest decision most people will make. And it should be, right? It's a really big decision, but it doesn't cost you anything to find out where you stand.
No, it does not. I know.
And so that's the best part. It doesn't cost anything, and most buyers don't know that though. They think they have to put an application and a fee comes with it, but it's not like that. You put your application in, and you get to find out where you stand in the process, and you might be able to buy a home now. Yeah, that's great.
And also, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, what happens if somebody comes to you and they are pre-approved, but you don't necessarily feel that it's with a lender that's going to put them in a strong position?
Yeah,
because that does happen, right?
Yeah, that's a great question all the time. I do a lot of listings as well, and anytime I get a loan from certain branches, I'm usually hesitant of saying, I don't know. I work with them. They're usually not on time. And so I always tell every client, it's always best to get a second opinion. If you're already approved, that's great. You know you're already approved. But it doesn't hurt. You can pull your credit, I believe, 2 times, 3 times. 3 times. And so it doesn't hurt to find out from another person where you stand and to see if, as we've spoken about before, is that to see if, the loan structure that you have can be improved. Or are you sure you have the best loan possible for you at this time? And so getting a second opinion, every client that I meet with, if they're approved or not, I tell them, get a second opinion. It's the biggest decision of your life. You don't want to take this one decision off of one person's advice. So reach out to more people. So
good advice. Such good advice, Jerome. Oh, my gosh. But, I mean, also on the other respect, too, you want to find out what you qualify for because, it's no fun to go start looking at houses at $450.
Yep.
Then you get pre-approved because you did an online calculator, so you qualify at $450 in your mind. And then you get pre-approved and, actually, I only qualify for $375 because that's a lot different house, right? And now then it's not as exciting. You got to go out and lower your expectations. So better to find out first, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and like you said, talking to other lenders because you and I have experience where someone's been pre-approved for a lot lower amount.
Yeah.
And then they come over here and we get them approved for more. Then that's a great news.
That's great news. I love when that happens.
That's fantastic.
But the client, they love that as well.
They do, and everyone's so happy because they really got taken care of.
Yeah, and if I could just hit on the fact that you said it's so find out where you stand first. Don't start looking at homes. Don't go looking at homes because so many times real estate agents will come on and they'll say, hey, let's show you some homes, and they'll get you approved, and then you find out, just as you said, the purchase what they're approved for is a lot less, and they're looking at a completely different type of home now. And so find out where you stand first.
And they're doing a disservice. Right?
Yeah, and then they're disappointed, right? You have to go out and go through all that initial disappointment when they have to look at what they really can qualify for since they already had a too high of expectation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No fun.
Not at all.
So, okay, let's say I'm working with an agent that's not you, Jerome, because this wouldn't happen with you. Yeah, and I keep submitting these offers, and I keep losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Yeah, you know what? That's funny because I just spoke with the agent yesterday who brought this up to me. They same question was, Jerome, I'm submitting offers to my client, but we keep losing for my client, but we keep losing. And to me, it comes down to how the offer is presented. Let's just be straightforward and to the point, right? Is that if the market is competitive, so if you're putting an offer on a very competitive house, then it's you have a really good chance of not winning it. Due to the reason, because at the end of the day, the sellers want the most money in their pocket when they leave.
Right.
Right. Less contingencies, the more money that the seller can walk away with, and that's what the seller is looking for. But I think little things add up. So little things like maybe adding a cover letter on top of that offer that basically says from the buyer, why they want this home, what makes this house so special for them. Maybe add a personal picture in there. And then I think the best part, which you guys do, the Riley Johnson team does, is I'll have a lender reach out to the agent and say, hey, this person's already approved. They're ready to go. They've already been through underwriting. Their offers, it's perfect. We can move forward. That just gives the seller and the listing agent a little bit more comfortable. I list homes, and I think anytime I get a lender that calls me or I see an offer that comes in and it's organized, there's not a lot of contingencies. Sellers don't like a lot of contingencies. And it's the lender's called already, then I know I have a better shot at getting it. And when I get that to myself as a listing agent, that just it puts a little bit more confidence when I'm presenting it to my sellers.
Yeah. I have a question. I'm just thinking. So what if you have these buyers and their max, right? You know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
And so you call they find this house, you already know it's going to go way more than what they're willing to go to.
Yep.
is it better to just not be like, you know what, this isn't going to be the house for you. It's just going to be a lot of heartache. Because as soon as people submit an offer, I feel like they're excited. They're like, we have a chance. We're going to get this. They start planning, right? And get emotionally invested. So is it better just to advise them, like, you know, this is what's going to go for. It's way out of our reach. Or do you let them just make the offer and see what happens?
You know, it's a really good question, because I personally take on it from a perspective of, I'm going to lay out all the information I know about the house for you and how competitive it's going to be. Because I've done so many deals where I don't like to face the heartache on the back end for you not winning, and me knowing, putting in your offer, that you're not going to win it. And so for me, it's, you know, I want to lay everything out on the table first for you. That way, you know, really if you're going to win this home or not. And I think it comes down to the agent, you know, big time, explaining how competitive this house is going to be. You know, there's no way you can think, if you have to look at this from this perspective. If a house is on the market and there's no other homes on the market around it, and you put an offer on that house, then the negotiating power is not going to be so great for you.
Right.
And so, you know,
you just kind of put it in their, you know, in their ball.
Yeah.
You put the ball in their court.
Put the ball in their court all the time, I think, and let them realize, say, hey, this is going to be a very competitive house. It's going to be a lot of offers. If you really want it, let's put our best foot forward and see if we have a shot. And even putting our best foot forward, we still might not win, but at least you know you put your best foot forward. At the end of the day, the seller's going to walk away with less contingencies and the most money in their pocket. That's their goal.
Yeah. It's good advice.
Yeah, that is good advice. So let's talk about how you get paid, fees, because a lot of people don't. They don't realize. You know, maybe they think I don't want to have to pay the agent.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have someone represent me.
Yeah, especially buyers. Buyers always, sellers usually know.
They know.
They've done the research, right? And so usually buyers don't know. Anytime I meet with a buyer's agent, I've showed up to an appointment one time with a buyer, and they had their checkbook. And I was like,
cute.
Yeah, they had their checkbook. They were going to pay me for my time. And I was like, oh, that's amazing.
That's the kind of client you want, actually. So
it's like, you don't have to pay me. That's the great news, right? So the cool part about it is when you want to buy a home, you don't have to pay that person representing you anything.
Right. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So you have somebody who's making phone calls, setting appointments,
working for
you around the clock. They want to see you happy and in a new home, and you don't have to pay them anything. It comes all from the seller, the sale of their home.
Right.
Yeah.
So it never, ever, ever hurts. Only helps you to have an agent.
Yeah.
Don't go out there thinking, oh, you know what? Actually, we just came across someone who, she's like, well, my husband, you know, he was like a tech guy, really smart, all the Excel spreadsheets, and we don't need an agent because he can do it. I go, but then I'm like, you know, you do 100%. And then what she realized after just starting to look a little bit, that listing agents wouldn't even entertain an offer for them. They're like, where's your agent?
Yeah.
You need an agent.
Yep.
Because it's just, you can't understand the contract. You know, it's a job you do every day. How could you just step into it and be an agent?
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And so if I received a contract from a buyer representing themselves, I'm going to let my seller know right away. Let's put this on the end.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, from the contract, negotiating with lenders, talking to lenders, working with escrow. There's a lot that goes into it. And so for a buyer to say, I'm going to take that on myself, that's just a lot. And do whatever else they have going on for work and family. It's just a lot. And so hire an agent to represent you. Smart.
Yeah, advocate for you, give you advice.
Free representation, too.
Free representation.
Yeah.
So this question came up for me, too, just the other day. Was someone was asking me, when do they get their keys? So let's say I find a house, like when do I get the keys? How long does that take?
Yeah, it really depends. If the house is vacant, it can happen really fast. And so usually average is about 30 to 45 days. The Riley Johnson team is really good at doing it shorter than that. That's what I love. And so it really depends. It's usually about an average, to answer the question, about an average of 30 to 45 days. But if the house is vacant, inspection goes fine, the appraisal goes great, you can maybe get it a little bit less than that and get your keys. And so it's usually a really quick process, which a lot of people don't know. So it's usually a really 30-day process, maybe.
Yeah, I would say 30 days.
Yeah. So, and so people don't necessarily realize that there's the day that they sign the documents, and then there's the day that the loan funds and records. And so signing. Sometimes that can happen on the same day.
Yeah, it does sometimes. Uncommon.
We don't like to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
A little stressful.
Yeah, a little stressful.
Yeah.
And so I would say usually you'll make an offer. Your offer gets accepted. There's usually about a 20-day period of going and checking things, and then maybe another 10-day period for appraisal, and then you'll go and sign your offer, and then you'll go in and sign the loan docs, and then the next day or 48 hours later, you'll get your keys. Yeah.
What's your opinion on inspections? Do you recommend your clients do an inspection?
I always recommend every client to do an inspection. Now, the market today, buyers are doing crazy things. They're waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, doing whatever they can, right, to put their best foot forward to win the house that they love. I always recommend to have an inspection. Now, I understand that the market's really competitive, so some buyers are saying, I don't want to do it. If you waive it, just have one maybe after you buy the house. That way you know what's going on. I recommend it all the time. It's very important to have an inspection.
What about like a pre-inspection?
Yeah, you can do a pre-inspection. That's what I usually do. If the house is competitive, like I said, if it's a competitive home that you're going after, reach out to the agent. You have to get approval to do it. Reach out to the listing agent and see if you can actually do a pre-inspection on the house to make your offer look more attractive. Very smart. I think it's a really good decision to have a pre-inspection, but you have to get permission from the listing agent. Most of the time, if the house is vacant, they'll let you do it.
Now, since you're listing homes as well, are you having your sellers do an inspection to be able to provide to potential buyers?
Yeah.
Is that something you're doing?
Yeah, no, actually, so every house that we list, I automatically do an inspection now. So we do inspections right away. That way the seller knows what's going on, what's wrong with the house. They can make small repairs that they need to on the property, and they know what's going to come up. If something's major, maybe the roof needs to be replaced, they know that's going to come up in the inspection, and we're ready to take it on. And so
this came up in my home buyer class last night because we were talking about inspections, and so people were saying, well, if the seller's done an inspection, can I just go take that inspection for what it's worth? Or then, they're representing the seller. Do I need to have my own inspection done that is my representation? Can you trust it? What is your take on that?
Well, yeah, so every inspector, they're licensed by the state. And so they have, laws that they have to obtain to. They have to adhere to certain laws. And so any inspection report that you get, it's going to be legit. It's going to be straightforward, to the point, and honest. Now, having an inspection, that inspection report is for the person who paid for it. So either the buyer or the seller. Now, legally, they don't have to give it to you. Some sellers will say, hey, I'll give you my inspection report for $100, $200. They'll sell it to you for cheaper. But it's a great decision. I usually, if the inspection's already been done on the house,
might as well just use that one.
Yeah, use it. I tell my buyers, let's reach out to them. Let's see if they'll give it to us.
Yeah.
Every time. Because
then you're like paying half the price too. And it's the same report. You're going to get the same report.
Yeah, the same exact report. And so I recommend sellers to do one. If the sellers do have an inspection, then the buyers should reach out to the sellers and see if they can get it. Save some money.
Waive some contingencies then.
And waive some contingencies. Yeah.
Makes sense. As long as they're licensed and bonded.
That's it.
Good to go, right?
Yeah.
Well,
gosh, I think we could cover so much more stuff.
I know, but thanks for coming on, Jerome. It was awesome.
I had a great time.
Thank you for tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest. When we come back from the break, we will have Julio Cortez with the Cocoon House, who works to help and provide support for at-risk and homeless youth and their families in Snohomish County. To find out more about topics discussed on today's show, you can find us online at www.financialfitnessnw.com.